So we are close to releasing in preview what we call the Unified Developer Experience, which is a long-awaited feature that streamlines the development of UiPath automations. And I'll briefly talk you through this today. So let me take you to the next screen. So what is actually it? Hard to put it in one sentence, but I believe to be a complete design to deploy experience for complex automations relying on multiple UiPath platform resources, such as processes, queues, assets, etc., in one single place. This will streamline the development process on one hand for the developers, and also it will make admin's life easier by having a predictable way of deploying automations to a ready-to-run state. Some of the benefits are related to a linear learning curve because, as you'll see, you no longer need to jump out to different parts of the platform. You'll have a better discoverability of the UiPath features, so you'll learn that new things that can make your life easier are one click away. And you'll also get to have everything into one self-contained package. So no longer creating dependencies based on documentation or Excel files and stuff like that. So if we look at the automation lifecycle management story, we can see like 4 steps here. Might be more than that, but let's focus on those. So typically, one will spend some time designing that automation, then debugging it. When it's happy with it, it will package it and deploy it. Of course, deployment can take place in several places, given you might want to test it before you're actually deploying it to your production environment. Up until today, we had solutions management of a way of partly addressing this life cycle. And that helped in grouping all together the required artifacts of that automates a business process. But this story starts from the package. So it kind of relies that the hard work of design and debug already took place. And then the output of that work is put together and transported via solutions management. With what I'm going to show you today, we intend to expand this story from one end to another. So it addresses the design time experience, the debug experience, the packaging, and all the way to deployment. You'll have, let's say, one coherent story for all this life cycle of the automation development. Some key use cases here. Typically, but not necessarily limited to, can be used to when you're working on multiple automations required to automate a business process. Here you can have, I don't know, a dispatcher performer use case here. Also, if you're sharing resources, which is common, like maybe sharing a queue among 2 automations, as you'll see, this experience will help you understand that that resource that's common to those 2 parts of your automation. Also, as Silvio shown you earlier, there will be apps in Studio Web that you can work together with RP workflows and also other types of projects we will support here as well. One key aspect is that you can start the work immediately. So you no longer need to go to, for instance, Orchestrator to create your assets and queues, right? You can do that directly from the integrated development environment. Also, as mentioned, you capture everything you need in this deployment package that we will see that is used to create all the required resources in order to have the automation running. And that also will help into having a configuration management of that automation with all the upgrade experiences that are out of the box in this scenario. So without further ado, let's take a look at it. Let me take you through it. So actually, before showing you the the new and shiny product, I'll show you the current shiny product, which is the studio experience here. And I want to focus here on two key aspects. One is the fact I'm only working on one project at one time, and also the fact that whenever I need to work with a resource of my platform, that resource needs to pre-exist, right? So that's currently the case. I have a lot of helpers here, so I understand given I'm connected to a certain folder, whatever is available in that folder and stuff like that. But can we do better? Let's see. So here are in Studio Web Backstage. I'll start a new automation, but let's see what happens. While this works, I'll also have a different one prepared, but I wanted you to give you the essence of starting working on this. So as you'll see, there's this hierarchical structure in here that contains, and help you with this, a solution. And in this solution, I have one project, like first project, and I can also add another project, which is my second one, and stuff like that. I won't focus on the complexity of the projects themselves, but rather on the experience of um, uh, related to the solution, the relations between those projects. So assuming I created those, let's take a look at the already created solution here. And I have dispatcher performer, which is nothing, let's say, too complex. It's just two projects that are communicating via a queue. So the story here is the performer will take the items out of the queue. It will log them a message out of them. And the dispatcher is the one that will take files from a certain folder and set a message on the queue to notify the performer. In our case here, I have one simple folder with a file within it. And let's see how this works all together. At the point where I need to mention the queue that helps those two automations communicate one to each other, whenever I'm using this add queue item activity and whatever queue related activity, I get, for instance, let me add a new one. I get to pick one already existing, so pretty much the same as in Studio, but I can also add one that has been previously used in my solution. Or although I cannot directly show you today, I can also create one right now, right here. Creating it doesn't mean it will be created in the orchestrator, but it will be created in the context of the solution. So I can work here without actually going to orchestrator for it. So let's say I pick here a queue, maybe candidate jobs, for instance. Okay, that was too fast for me, and this was added. Let me actually go and pick another one. I'll pick service reports. And you see that has been added. So not only that has been added here, but it's also, I can take a look at it and set the required configuration parameters in a advanced or a simple way. So I can understand if I need that, what are the parameters this queue will be created the deployment, but we will get back to that. Okay, so imagine I have this queue. I said I have this dispatcher here. Let me remove the dummy activity. What one would typically do is try to start a debug session. So let me actually duplicate this tab here. I'll move it to the other side of the screen. Okay, and until it loads, I'll speak you through this bottom part here. So at the beginning, I've told you about the structure of the solution. which contain multiple projects and in turn multiple files. But at the bottom left, you can see the resources, right? So you can see connections that are used, for instance, my OneDrive connection. You see the queues that I've initiated here, the dependencies, which is the sum, if you want, of the dependencies, NuGet packages of those projects, and alike for other supported resources. Currently, it'll be the assets and the storage buckets. Now, this project here is already opened in edit mode. I'll switch to my performer here. What I'm going to show you is that I'll start a debug session in both, and we will see how these two communicate over that job queue, over that queue that is shared between those two projects in my solution. Once it loads, okay, let me set a breakpoint here. Actually, it is set, so I'll start this one, and I'll also start this one. What happens behind the scenes if, in case those resources weren't already created, they will be created in my debug environment. So I'll get to a successful debugging experience without leaving this IDE here. So let's see how this works. Okay, now I'm paused here. I'm waiting for the other part to put the message in the queue. Okay, so I have this the file with this ID as I've shown you here. Now let's unblock this from the other part. Okay, so it's the this file name property of the message, the queue message that contains the file name, and this is here. So this is the design and debug part. Just before going to publish it, I have this deployment configuration view where I get to understand what are the actual artifacts that will get deployed and their properties. So in our case, it's the dispatcher, the performer, and the job queue. For all of them, I have the opportunity of changing the values that will be set at deployment time, and then I can publish it. So once I publish it, then it becomes available here in Orchestrator under the Solutions tab. So from here, I get to deploy it. I already have it deployed, but let's put just another root folder here, my second deployment. And I need to specify a different deployment name. And from here, I'm taken through the experience of understanding as an admin what are the components, the resources that will be created by this solution, their values, and this will get deployed into the folder I've selected. Until this one loads, let me actually show you the already deployed part. So the previous installation I've created is on this dispatcher performer folder here, where you'll see exactly these processes here, the created queue. So everything is in place ready to be executed. Of course, there are things just someone still needs to do currently, which we believe will improve in the future, like, I don't know, adding a machine that will execute those automations in that folder and stuff like that. But from a resource perspective of the this, let's say, usual suspects you have here, now you have one single place to design them, debug them, and configure the deployment for them.